This just exploded inside Westminster, and nobody was ready for it. A no confidence vote has been triggered, tempers are flaring, and Keir Starmer has reportedly lost control behind closed doors. Voices were raised, phones were slammed down, and now the Prime Minister is facing the most dangerous political moment of his leadership. This is not theatre, this is survival. 1 minute ago, everything changed. What had been simmering quietly inside Parliament suddenly boiled over when confirmation emerged that a no-confidence vote has been triggered against Keir Starmer. No slow build-up, no careful warning, just a sharp political shock that ripped through Westminster and sent the Prime Minister into open fury. According to multiple insiders, Starmer erupted when the news reached him. Not a measured response, not calm control, anger, frustration, and disbelief that it had come to this. So fast and so publicly, this was the scenario his team had worked desperately to avoid, and yet here it is, staring him down. The timing could not be worse. Starmer is already under pressure from every direction: internal party doubts, public frustration, international uncertainty, and now the ultimate test of leadership credibility, a formal challenge to his authority. A no-confidence vote is not just a procedure, it is a declaration that trust has collapsed. Inside Downing Street, the mood reportedly turned toxic within minutes. Advisors scrambled, emergency calls were placed, allies demanded reassurance, critics sensed blood. The carefully managed image of stability cracked in real time. What makes this moment especially explosive is how quickly it unfolded. There was no long warning phase, no drawn-out rebellion. This was sudden, sharp, and deeply personal. For Starmer, it feels like betrayal. Not just opposition pressure, but fractures from within the political system he believed he controlled. Sources say the Prime Minister feels cornered. And when leaders feel cornered, mistakes happen. The trigger for this vote has been building quietly for weeks. Anger over leadership decisions, accusations of weak direction, growing belief that Starmer is reacting to events rather than shaping them. But until now, these tensions stayed mostly hidden. Today, they broke into the open. Once a no-confidence vote is triggered, everything changes. Every speech is scrutinised, every move is questioned, every ally is tested. Authority no longer comes from the title. It must be defended vote by vote. Starmer knows this. That's why his reaction was so intense, because this vote doesn't just threaten his position, it threatens his narrative. The image of calm competence, the promise of order, the claim that he alone could steady the country, all of that is now under direct attack, and the public can feel it. Moments like this send a signal far beyond Parliament. They tell voters that something is wrong at the top. That confidence has drained away. That power is no longer secure. Even people who don't follow politics closely understand what a no-confidence vote means. It means the leader is in trouble. Behind the scenes, the questions are brutal. Who supported this? Who stayed silent? Who is about to switch sides? Politics moves fast when fear enters the room, and fear is now everywhere. Starmer's allies are urging unity, but unity is fragile when pressure rises. His critics are staying quiet, and that silence is dangerous. It suggests coordination, patience, confidence that time is on their side. This is no longer a theoretical challenge. It is real, it is live, and it is moving quickly. The Prime Minister may still survive this vote, but survival alone is not victory, even if he wins. Authority once shaken never fully returns. The damage lingers, doubt spreads, rivals wait. And the most unsettling part, this is only the beginning. Because once a leader erupts behind closed doors, it usually means the ground beneath them has already started to collapse. As the reality of the no-confidence vote sank in, the political temperature inside Westminster rose sharply. This was no longer about rumours or internal grumbling. This was formal, recorded, and impossible to undo. Once the mechanism is triggered, it moves forward with its own momentum. And Keir Starmer knows that better than anyone. Inside his inner circle, the shock quickly turned into fear. Advisors who once spoke confidently about control are now speaking in cautious tones. Every number is being counted. Every MP is being analysed. Loyalty, once assumed, is now a question mark. And in politics, uncertainty is often more dangerous than outright opposition. What makes this situation especially volatile is how exposed Starmer already was before this vote surfaced. Recent crises, public confusion and growing criticism had already weakened his standing. This vote didn't come out of nowhere. It arrived at the worst possible moment when patience inside Parliament was already thin. According to insiders, Starmer immediately demanded to know who triggered it and why now. That question reveals everything. Leaders who feel secure don't ask why. Leaders under threat do. It shows a sense of lost control, a feeling that events are now happening to him, not because of him. The no confidence vote has also changed how allies behave. Supporters who once defended Starmer loudly are now choosing their words carefully. Some are waiting, others are distancing themselves quietly. This doesn't mean they have turned against him, but it does mean they are preparing for multiple outcomes. And that alone weakens leadership authority. Behind closed doors, frantic calculations are underway. Who will vote which way? Who is undecided? Who might abstain? The numbers matter, but so does perception. Even a narrow survival can be interpreted as failure. A strong leader is not meant to be hanging on by a thread. Starmer understands this risk. That's why his reaction has reportedly been so raw. Anger often masks fear, and fear is a sign that something fundamental has shifted. This vote challenges the very foundation of his leadership, the belief that he commands respect across the political spectrum. Meanwhile, opponents are watching carefully. They are not rushing. They don't need to. Time is now working for them. The longer this drags on, the more pressure builds. Every hour brings new headlines. Every silence invites speculation. Every leak fuels doubt. And the public is paying attention. No confidence votes cut through political noise. They are simple, easy to understand. They tell voters that even insiders don't believe in the leader anymore. That message is powerful and difficult to counter with speeches or statements. Starmer's team is reportedly trying to project calm. Publicly, they speak of procedure, process and confidence. Privately, they know this is a defining moment. One misstep, one poorly handled appearance, one visible crack, and momentum could swing against him fast. This is where leadership is tested not by words, but by behaviour. Does Starmer project strength, or does he look rattled? Does he unify, or does he confront? Every decision now carries weight. The danger is escalation. A no-confidence vote often encourages further rebellion. MPs who are undecided may be pushed into action. Critics who stayed quiet may step forward. Once the seal is broken, pressure spreads quickly. Political survival becomes a daily battle, not a single vote. And hovering over all of this is one uncomfortable truth. Even if Starmer survives, the damage may already be done. Authority is not just about winning votes. It's about commanding belief. And belief, once shaken, is almost impossible to fully restore. Right now, Keir Starmer is fighting not just for his position, but for the right to be seen as a leader at all. And the clock is ticking. As the hours pass, the pressure is no longer just internal. It is spreading outward, reshaping the entire political atmosphere. A no-confidence vote has a unique effect on power. It doesn't just challenge a leader, it rewrites how everyone around that leader behaves. And right now, that shift is happening in real time. The most chilling aspect of all this is how quickly it can end. Leaders don't usually fall slowly. Once momentum turns, events compress. Days feel like hours. Decisions feel irreversible. And by the time clarity arrives, it is often too late. Keir Starmer is now standing at that edge. The vote has not happened yet. The outcome is not sealed, but the damage to authority is already real. The question is no longer whether he survives the vote. The real question is whether he survives what comes after. As tension tightens around Westminster, one truth is becoming impossible to ignore. This no-confidence vote is no longer just a parliamentary event. It has become a psychological turning point. And once politics enters this phase, outcomes are shaped as much by belief as by numbers. Inside Starmer's camp, there is now a clear split in thinking. Some believe this is the moment to strike back hard, to confront critics, draw sharp lines and force a loyalty into the open. Others warn that aggression could accelerate the collapse, pushing undecided MPs into opposition out of fear or resentment. This internal divide is dangerous because hesitation at the top spreads uncertainty everywhere else, and uncertainty is contagious. MPs who were previously undecided are now being courted quietly. Messages are sent late at night, just checking where you stand. We need to know your thinking. These conversations are polite on the surface, but beneath them lies pressure. Everyone understands that how they vote will define their future inside the party and possibly end someone else's. Starmer knows this dynamic well, which makes the situation even more brutal. He understands that loyalty under threat is never pure. Some will support him out of fear. Some will oppose him out of ambition. And some will simply calculate which side looks safer. Leadership, in this moment, becomes a numbers game stripped of emotion. Publicly, Starmer is expected to project calm. Privately, the strain is obvious. Allies, though the Prime Minister is exhausted but defiant, determined not to be forced out quietly. Yet defiance alone is not a strategy. Without a clear path to reassert authority, resistance risks turning into stubbornness. Outside Parliament, the public mood continues to shift. This vote has given shape to a feeling many people already had, that politics at the top is unstable. When leaders are challenged from within, it signals weakness, whether fair or not. And voters respond to that signal instinctively. Confidence drains away. Attention turns elsewhere. Support becomes conditional. The opposition senses this too. They are framing the vote not as a personal attack, but as a necessary correction. The language is careful, measured, designed to sound responsible rather than ruthless. That tone matters because it reassures undecided MPs that voting against Starmer can be justified as duty, not betrayal. Meanwhile, Starmer's strongest supporters are becoming louder, and that carries its own risk. Over-defence can make a leader appear fragile. When allies rush to insist everything is fine, it often convinces no one. Strength in politics is quiet confidence, and that is hard to project under siege. What makes this moment especially fragile is that there is no clear narrative reset available. Starmer cannot blame a single event. He cannot point to one misunderstanding. The challenge is cumulative, but built from months of pressure, doubt and unmet expectations. That makes it harder to diffuse with one speech or concession. Behind the scenes, contingency planning is underway. Not officially, not publicly, but quietly. What happens if the vote passes? What happens if it fails narrowly? What happens if the damage becomes irreversible, even in victory? These are the questions being asked in rooms Starmer does not control, and that alone speaks volumes. When leadership enters this phase, time behaves differently. Every delay feels heavier. Every silence feels louder. Every rumour feels more believable. This is how momentum builds, not through facts, but through perception. Starmer is now battling perception itself. If he appears too confident, he risks looking detached. If he appears too angry, he risks looking unstable. If he appears too calm, he risks looking unaware of the danger. This is the trap of leadership under threat. Every expression is interpreted against you. The coming hours will decide more than a vote. They will decide whether Starmer can still command belief, not just compliance, because compliance can be forced. Belief cannot. And once belief is lost, no procedural victory can bring it back. This is the silent danger now unfolding. Not loud enough to shock, but heavy enough to crush. As the moment of the vote draws closer, the atmosphere has shifted from chaos to something far more dangerous. Quiet expectation. This is the stage where outcomes begin to feel inevitable, even before they are confirmed. And for Keir Starmer, that feeling is the most threatening force of all. In politics, survival is not only about winning the final count, it is about what people believe will happen next. Right now, belief is slipping out of Starmer's hands. Even if he survives the no confidence vote, the reality he faces afterward could be harsher than defeat itself. A leader who wins narrowly does not emerge stronger. He emerges watched, doubted, and constantly tested. Every future decision becomes another opportunity for rebellion. Every setback becomes proof that the challenge should have succeeded. That is the shadow now hanging over Starmer. Insiders say the Prime Minister understands this. He knows that tonight is not the end of the crisis. It is the start of a new phase, a phase where authority must be re-earned daily, not assumed. And re-earning authority in a divided environment is brutally difficult. If the vote fails and Starmer remains in place, his opponents will not disappear. They will regroup. They will wait. They will frame every policy stumble as evidence that the party needs change. The pressure will become quieter but more focused, and quiet pressure is often more effective than loud rebellion. If the vote succeeds, the consequences are immediate and historic. Starmer's leadership would collapse in a single moment, triggering a scramble for power, a fight over direction, and weeks, possibly months, of instability. Markets would react, allies would hesitate, rivals would rush forward. The country would feel it almost instantly. This is why the stakes feel so high. What makes this moment especially unsettling is how fast it arrived. Political collapses rarely feel sudden when viewed in hindsight, but for those inside them, they are dizzying. One day you are managing dissent, the next your leadership is on the line. That acceleration leaves little time for recovery. Public confidence, once shaken, does not wait for official results. Many voters have already made a judgment, not about the vote itself, but about what it represents. To them, this challenge signals instability at the top, and instability breeds caution, fear and withdrawal of trust. Starmer's final challenge, then, is not procedural. It is emotional. Can he convince enough people, MPs, allies and the public that he still represents direction rather than drift? Strength rather than survival? Leadership rather than endurance? That question hangs over everything. In the coming hours, statements will be released, votes will be counted, headlines will be written, but the deeper verdict will be formed more quietly in the minds of those watching. And that verdict will shape what happens long after the vote is over, because politics does not end with a result. It continues with memory. If Starmer is remembered as the leader who lost control before the vote was even cast, the outcome may already be sealed. Regardless of the numbers, authority depends on belief, and belief depends on confidence. Right now, confidence is fragile. This is the reality of leadership at the edge. No slogans can fix it. No spin can erase it. No victory can fully undo it. The no confidence vote is the moment everyone will remember. But what follows will decide whether Keir Starmer remains a leader or becomes a chapter. And that decision is no longer his alone.